Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something I haven't done in a very long time, and I put a lot of thought into this. And I decided it's time to bring back some gear talk. I want to state up front, I do not endorse illegal activity. I do not endorse you using any sort of drugs without a prescription, without being under the care of a medical doctor. And this is not replacement for medical advice. This is just my thoughts on this stuff as someone who coaches both enhanced and drug-free lifters, as someone who's been in the iron game for decades, who knows a lot of coaches, a lot of doctors, other people who work with this stuff and who keeps up with all the scientific literature. And, something I want to talk about is this idea that less is more. Now, people will say that's not true. We know that there is always increased anabolic activity when people use more stuff, and that is true. But here's the thing I want to talk about. We're talking about longevity under the barbell. We're talking about side effects. We're talking about quality of life, quality of training. I'm not trying to make you guys professional bodybuilders. It's not what we're talking about. And people need to keep in mind large numbers of people already, and there's nothing you or I can do to stop this, use anabolics recreationally. You have no intention of competing in anything. And a lot of them, quite frankly, use way more than they need to even reach their goals. And we see it all the time. And a couple of points I want to bring home is that if we can look over and say, what is the minimum amount of stuff that I have to put into my body to reach my goals? What's my minimum effective dose? That's probably closer to what you should be using. And, here's why. Let's not just talk about living longer. Some guys don't even care about that much. Let's talk about quality of life. Let's talk about quality of training. Let's talk about the ability to gain muscle over time. If you are just blasting large amounts of stuff, you're gaining large amounts of water weight, everything else, that's temporary. You're not going to keep it. You're going to feel worse. And if you feel worse, you have to come off sooner, both for health reasons, quality of life reasons. It's harder for you to train correctly. The quality of your training can suffer. The quality of your sleep can suffer. So if any combination of stuff that you are using is making your training difficult because you don't feel good, maybe your blood pressure is way too high, maybe you're lethargic, maybe your acne is getting so bad that it literally hurts to lay down on the bench and press. Okay, just giving examples. How about if your sleep is compromised? So what I'm suggesting is that most people need their total combination of stuff probably under a gram. Okay? And I've been known to make recommendations a decade ago in groups and stuff where I was told that people wouldn't gain anything. Imagine that my recommendations are so low that people wouldn't make any gains on anabolics at all. It's just a waste of drugs. Really? Because low doses don't produce great results in the lab and for medical reasons? You don't think they can produce great results in people who are fit and lifting weights and eating a lot of protein? I digress. I'm not saying a replacement dose, but, anything super physiological. And, here's the problem with that. Perfect example. You'll see people all the time telling people, start with just a high dose of test or a moderate dose of test. I consider 500 milligrams relatively high. I think a lot of people don't even ever need to use that much testosterone at all. I have found in my experience over the years that many, many, many people can run a no-test stack. Not that I advocate that for most of you. A lot of you can't. Be very cautious. A lot of people do really well on just a replacement dose and then adding milder anabolics in. That is generally what I'm going to recommend to people. Okay? But you'll see stuff like 500, they'll tell them 750, then add a second drug. And before long, you have people running 750 tests with only a year of gear experience and then adding Tren or Deca to it. Okay? And then they're up over a gram with all relatively high side effect compounds. What do you think the net result of that is? They're going to get a lot of side effects. They're also not going to keep a lot of those gains. A lot of my lifters PR between blasts. Hey, I've had lifters come in and they go back to their TRT dose, their maintenance dose, and 10 weeks after their blast hit a bench PR. Think about that. Literally getting stronger 10 weeks after your last shot. Well, just on TRT, come on. And I do mean true TRT doses. I'm talking like 125 milligrams. Okay. All this other stuff, you start exceeding a gram, particularly with high side effect compounds. It causes a lot of bloat or tren, which is enormous on side effects. Interferes with sleep. Your quality of life and gains are going to be compromised. You can stay on a lot longer for your blast if you keep things tame. You can make higher quality gains. You can keep them longer. Okay. And what I recommend is people are always like, I want to use this oral and that. They want to use oral only. Well, you start using orals, you better be a non-drinker. Okay. You can't drink alcohol at all. None. And that is what the research shows, that 1 drink a week is potentially dangerous on oral anabolics. 1 drink a week impacts your health in a very negative, measurable way on the blood work. This is in studies. Okay, so I would tell people orals need to be really reserved unless you're using a very low dose as something like a replacement for testosterone, like a Dianabol or something, which is done. They need to be reserved till maybe about the final 3 or 4 weeks before whatever your event is, your powerlifting meet, whatever. Okay. I would suggest that most people would make more keepable, better gains by running a replacement dose of testosterone or a little above, something in the 100 to 250 range. Capping it at 250, I'm going to say that's probably your upper threshold. And you may need to lower it depending upon what you stack with it, and then adding a good quality anabolic. What sort of options do you have there? Use them as your workhorse. They're designed, that is the whole medical purpose of them, is to have less side effects than testosterone. That is the medically intended purpose, while keeping all the muscle building properties and in some cases amplifying it slightly. All right. So what do I mean? Nandrolone is a possibility. That could be DECA or NPP. EQ, the street name for boldenone dicyclinate. Primobolan. Sorry, I got a hard on there. All right, Primobolan. All right, maybe Masteron, although we could run into some issues there. Again, you're going to have to be very careful not to crash your E2 there. And then you have to stack a little more tests with it. You might have some prostate issues, your PSA. You might want to make sure you're not prone to that. Otherwise, though, all of those work at doses even as low as 300. Like you could run 100 tests, 250 tests, and then add somewhere between anywhere from 200 really up to about maybe 500 to 600 milligrams of one of those others. And then save your orals and stick with mostly DHT-based orals. Stick to those till 3 weeks out till you need to peak for whatever it is you're doing. Right? This works very, very well. This tends to keep side effects very low. Then we don't need to mess with AIs. AIs are terrible for your health. Right? Less is more when we're dealing with quality, because number one, we're talking about more keepable gains. Number two, you can train harder because you feel better, and you're still going to have enhanced recovery from this stuff. You can sleep better so you can recover better. It's all about recovery at the end of the day. All right, so this is kind of my take on it. And it's a very conservative take. But how old am I? I'm about to turn 46, and you guys see me lifting some big weights, and I'm in good health. Just something to think about. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.